Alright guys, here is the Baromagnes deck profile. I love this deck so much. He's a lot of fun to play with. Once you get to 15 soul, I mean that's really a wraps. And you can activate his ability every turn. It's very easy to activate. It's just one counterblast. And it really hurts the opponent in a huge way. For example, if you're going against Sylvan High Beast, yeah, they're gonna pressure you early on. But if you can get rid of the rear guards, that's literally it, because they cannot guard you, because they're going to need to replenish their field, and if they can't replenish their field, there's no way for them to pressure you. So you really destroy a lot of the big strong decks right now. There are some other decks that are very easily replenishing their fields, like the Zorgas. Even then, it takes them a lot of time and it takes them a lot of cards. So you being able to destroy the opponent's field is pretty insane with the Baromagnes. Remember guys, his skill is, if you have 15 cards in soul, both you and your opponent put all of your own rear guards into your souls, choose up to 2 cards from the soul for me, and call it to a rear guard, and they get plus 10k. Only if I have 15 in soul, and if I don't, if I have 10, this guy gets plus 10k and 1 critical, which is insane. So there's actually 2 ways to play this deck. You could play with a focus on hitting 15 souls, so that means you're gonna have to get as many cards that soul charges as you can. And you can also play with a focus on hitting 10 cards in the soul for the pressure of the 10k plus 1 critical. And if you are focused on that, I would add these cards into the deck, because these guys, when this unit boosts, if your soul has 5 or more cards, counterblast 1 until the end of the battle. Your opponent has to call 2 cards from hand to guard instead of the 1. So this kind of locks in the pressure, makes sure that the opponent can't even PG you. He has to still waste cards, and that's what I would do if you're focused on that 10 soul and you don't want to really focus on his last ability. I like his last ability. I think it's a game changer, so I am focused on that. So I focused on the cards that will soul charge for me the most. I got all 4 Gungrims that soul charge for free. He is my target for when I use the ability. I want to bring him out of the soul. So that's why I have 4 of him basically total in the deck after with my right chain. And he's actually the target for this guy's ability as well, which says when he's ridden by a Baromagnes, put a card in your hand to the soul. This is the card I want to always put into the soul. Brother's Soul is really effective. You can only use 1 order though per turn, so remember that. So you have to use him early on, as early as you get him. Because these 2 can conflict with each other, right? Because you can't use them at the same turn. So you have to get as much soul into with your orders as you can early on, so you start using him early. Crawl, you insect, that's a really nice card. It does add to your soul by 1. It does cost 1 counterblast, but you get to draw a card and you get to get up to 20k when you draw that card. I mean, that's insane. So that's a lot of pressure for Baromagnes. I like Electro-Spartan. I want him at 4. I just don't have a spot for him right now because everything else gives much more soul and is much more consistent than Electro. And Selfish Engraver is actually an insane card. She allows me to not be afraid of using Curtis, for example, for a little extra push, or Electromagna, Spartan. And she allows me a lot of utility when I guard a lot early on. I don't need that much damage because I could just use her and get my skill off even though I only have 1 damage, right? So I really like her, and I can keep using that same 1 damage over and over again. So I really like this deck. It does have a focus on 15 cards in soul, so I am trying to get as many cards into my soul as possible. But there is a different way to play this deck for sure. I would add, if you're focusing only on the 10k plus 1 critical, I would add as many of these cards as you can, and maybe reduce some of these soul charging cards. I wouldn't have Electro Spartans or the 4th Gungrim, but yeah, the deck has been working really well. I'll show you how you can get to 15 cards in soul within 3 turns. Sometimes you can't. It just depends on your hand. You actually need 2 Brother Soul and at least 1 Curtis for you to achieve that per game. So if you don't get those, you're pretty much kind of struggling the whole game. And that's why I like to play 4 draws, just so I can get the extra draw. I play 7 critical, 4 heal, and 1 over trigger. So that's the deck, guys. I hope you like it. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I try to get to my 15 soul as soon as possible. And yeah, you guys let me know what you think. Alright guys, when we're talking about the Baromagnes deck, we're talking about an extremely special playstyle of a deck. You have to fill up your soul with as much soul charge as you can. So the cards you're going to pick are only going to be extreme soul chargers. And then you're not going to be scared of decking out or anything. You're actually going to use the amount of soul you have to give you all the pressure and everything you might need. So the Baromagnes deck is actually extremely special in the way it manipulates its soul and gets the cards it needs out. Unfortunately, the grade 2 is pretty useless when you ride on the grade 2. He doesn't really give you anything, but by the time you get to grade 3, he's going to actually add 2 cards to your soul. We're going to drive check, crit. And now it's the opponent's turn. They can hit us. This is the problem with this deck, is it can take a lot of damage really early. So you kind of want to stop that from happening by early blocks. You don't want to take too much damage. You don't want to go over 3 damage before you get to your opponent, to your own level 3. So that's extremely detrimental to you. And the way it's going to achieve its soul is by using as many Curtises and selfish engravers and gongrams and brother soul orders as it can until it gets to that goal. You can also use Electro Spartan as well. I really like him. I'm actually going to go ahead and use him over this Gongram because I know he's going to benefit me a lot more. So I'm going to have to pick a card in my hand, put it into the soul. I'm literally just struggling here. Draw and then soul charge. Yeah, that's the only problem with this deck, is you can soul charge all your triggers in the end. But in the end it doesn't matter because you don't really care about triggers. Baromagnes is always on critical +1 anyways, as long as you touch level 10 soul with him. And from there you can just keep pressuring the opponent. So we're going to always play every turn a brother soul every time we can, because you can only play 1 order per turn. And we're always going to focus on playing Curtis on the side. I'm going to play him on this side. He's going to give me extra soul. Selfish Engraver is a great card. She does a lot of support for this deck. It counter charges, soul charges. It's so good. And then let me count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We do have our 10 soul. We do want to keep a little bit of extra pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and counterblast 1 and get 2 soul off of this. Dang, there goes our over trigger. Well, we would have drawn our over trigger anyways because that was a draw trigger. So that's not too bad. We do have 12 soul now. We are going to ride Baromagnes next turn, so that's 13 soul. So let's see how this is going to go. I'm going to go ahead and attack with my Electro. Well, yeah, let's attack with the Electro guy. Then we attack with Baromagnes and use a skill, Counterblast 1, draw a card. And he gets 1 critical 10k. Of course, we don't hit anything. We do hit the heal. And we do heal because we barely attacked. And thankfully now we're at a good amount of damage that we can survive next turn. And we needed to put another of this guy in the soul. That's when this level 2 Vanguard is actually useful, is when you can put this guy into your soul. But when you don't have him in your hand and you just put your triggers, that's really detrimental. Anyways, we got to a point where we're almost at the soul we need. Literally all we need is, when I write I'm going to be 13. We need 2 more soul. We need to find a way to get 2 more soul. So we actually need to draw. So let's take some damage. Take some damage. We'll take 3 damage. And we'll toss out 1 card as if we garden. And then let's restand everything. And this guy has to be a soul charger. Oops. He's not. So we're gonna go ahead and ride. We draw another card. Damn it, another heal. See, there you are. You don't get your 15 soul this turn, which sucks big time, right? Because we don't even get our 16. We needed one more of this guy, or one more of this Curtis. We have 13 cards in soul. Yeah, we can't achieve his combo, but we got really close and we're almost gonna die. So it's really ideal to have as many soul chargers as you can. I play 4 of these, and I'll show you the deck in a second. Well, I did show you the deck. I play 4 of these. I play 4 of Gongrams. I play 4 of the Selfish Engravers, 4 of the Electros, 4 Phantasmas, or Curtises, and I only play 2 of these because I already have 4 of the other order. And I think that's all my soul chargers, really. Yeah, that's really all my soul chargers. So I need to figure out ways to get more of those out.